It's now right. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Raw settlement issues. Good evening. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome, 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 welcome. These are some of the things that I'm going to focus on. This is just a breakdown. So we're gonna do everything that is under raw settlement. Then we going to wind it up with 1 or 3 questions just to sum it up. So good evening, boys and girls. So for today, we are looking at settlement geography, but our focus is only on raw settlement. I try to divide the two because I understand in some provinces you are writing 2 papers. You have got paper 1, that is for climate and weather, and geomorphology and geomorphic. Then you've got paper 2, which is made up of question 1, raw settlement, question 2, urban settlement, then you've got geomorphic. So that's why I decided to break down raw settlement geography into raw settlement and urban settlement. So today we are only going to focus on rural settlement. That's what we are going to do. We are going to focus only on rural settlements. Okay, what are some of the things that we are going to look at? The first thing, we are going to define what a settlement is. What is a settlement? Just a simple definition of what a settlement is. Then from there, we move on to look at rural settlement. What is covered in as far as rural settlement is concerned? What is it? What is the dominant economic activity in as far as the rural settlement is concerned? Then we are going to look at the factors that influence the site and the location of raw settlement. But of course, we have defined what a site is and also what a situation is. So that's what we are going to do as well. Then from there, we are also going to look at the patterns of rural settlement. For some of you, you confuse a pattern and the shape. So we are going to try by all means to make sure that I actually bring the difference between the two, that is your pattern and also the shape of raw settlement. Then lastly, we are going to look at raw settlement issues, where we are going to look at the issue of road urban migration, focusing on the push and pull factors. We are also going to look at what we call the rural depopulation and what strategy can be put in place to make sure that we retain people within the rural areas so that most of them do not migrate to the urban areas. Then from there, we are also going to look at land reform. Land reform with its pillars of land restitution, land redistribution, and land tenure. We are going to unpack that. We are going to unpack land reform. What is land reform? The 3 pillars that makes up our land reform, which is your land restitution, land redistribution, and the land tenure. We're going to cover that also in detail. So I'm going to start off with the theory first. That's why I have decided to do it on this board. We're going to start off with the theory first. That's what we are going to do. We are going to start off with what? With the theory first, because I want to make sure that you understand the concept. Then after that, I can take you through 1 or 3 questions. Okay, 2 or 3 questions that covers our rural settlement. That is something to do with the patterns, the shapes, something to do maybe with the rural depopulation, rural urban migration, something to do maybe with our land reform. So that's what we are going to do. So let's start right away. We want to start by defining what is a settlement. That's what we want to do first. What is a settlement? That is the first thing that we are going to do. Let me wrap this off now. So when we define a settlement, guys, remember I said my focus is going to be on the rural settlement. That's what I'm going to focus on. But we are going to get a definition, a simple definition of what is a settlement. What is a settlement? What is a settlement? I'm going to try to start by a simple definition. Okay, so what is a settlement? Okay, a settlement is a place, okay, a place where people live, or some could say stay and work. So that's what a settlement is. But we would have done injustice if we don't include everything that is included in as far as a settlement is concerned. A place where people live, stay, and work. That's what a settlement is. But we have to acknowledge that now. When we talk about settlement, there are certain things that we find within a settlement. What do I mean by that? In that settlement, what we have got people, okay? That's number one. That's what we have. In this settlement, what we have got people. And in that settlement, same settlement as well, we have got buildings, okay? We have got buildings, okay? You understand this when we get to patterns. That's what I'm trying to incorporate here. So we have got people, we have got buildings. What else do we have in as far as settlement is concerned? We also have communication networks. We also have what? Communication networks. Communication networks. That's something that we have within a settlement. What else do we have? We also talking about the activities, the different activities that takes place. Okay, activities. Okay, activities. Okay. Here to be specific. Okay, let me just say activities just in general. That's what we also have. Okay, that function is single or okay on a daily basis. So we have got people, we have got buildings, we have got communication networks, we also have activities. You get to understand this because when I'm talking about activities in terms of function, just to be specific, to be relevant to rural settlement that I said that we are covering, we can look at rural settlement as unifunctional, which means there is dominance. Okay, the primary activity are dominant. Primary activities are dominant. That's what is happening. The primary activities are dominant. So in terms of activity, so we are saying now when we are looking at settlement, we are saying it's a place where people live, stay, and work. That's what a settlement is in simple terms. Okay, but in that same setup of a settlement, what we have got people. We have included this part where we say this is where people live. There are certain things that happens within a settlement. That's when we move on to include, of course, we have got the buildings. Of course, you'll have an appreciation of this when I'm talking about the building. Think about this in terms of patterns, okay? We are going to look at this in detail as well, in terms also of the shapes that we have in as far as settlement is concerned. So we are saying a place where people live, stay, and work. And we are saying within the setup of a settlement, we have got buildings. Of course, we say when they are close to each other, it's more nucleated. When they are further apart, it's more dispersed or isolated, of course, and so on and so on. So these are the 4 things that can help you to have a deeper understanding of a settlement. We have said a place where people live, stay, and work. Within that same setup, we have got people, of course, we have got buildings, we have got communication networks. Obviously, just to bring some light, when I'm talking about communication network, think of the situation like a site of a place in relation to its surroundings. Sometimes some of these are situated in an area where they have gotten easy access to a road. You understand? Easy access to the market. I would just put it through that way. So we also have communication networks, of course, how everything is integrated, how everything is also takes place within that rural settlement setup. Then activities. We have said that within the rural settlement, the main dominant activity that we have is what? The primary activities. That is what is dominant. That's why we say it is unifunctional. Unifunctional. There is one dominant economic activity. We are saying that mostly primary activities. What do we mean by primary activities? Mostly there's extraction of raw materials from the earth's surface. I'm talking about your agriculture. Just to give an example, I'm talking about your forestry. Okay. Forestry. I'm talking about fishing. Okay. I'm talking about fishing. What else? Mining. Okay, and I'm also talking about mining, among other things, where there's extraction of raw materials from the earth's surface. So we have said that a settlement is a place where people live, stay, and work. We are looking at it in relation to, we have got people that stays within a setup of a settlement. Of course, we have got buildings. Of course, just try to think in terms of the patterns and shape of the buildings. Of course, patterns, nucleated, dispersed, isolated. We also have communication networks. That's what integrates the whole settlement setup. Okay. Then also activity. We have said that there's dominance of primary activities. That is what is dominant. That's what we say that mostly the rural settlement. Remember, our focus here for today is rural settlement. Okay. I don't want to mix the two. I don't want to mix the two. That's why I'm not talking about urban. I know urban is multifunctional, which means there's secondary, is also tertiary and quaternary, but I want us to focus only on rural settlement so that we have an in-depth understanding of what is covered under rural settlement. So this is what we have: settlement, a place where people live, stay, and work. In terms under rural settlement, the people, the buildings, communication networks, the activity of which we say mostly dominantly we have got the primary activities. That is dominant there, which means by its nature, rural settlements are unifunctional. There is one economic activity that is dominant, that is primary. Primary, obviously, there is extraction of raw materials, obviously, mostly from the earth's surface. We are talking about our agriculture, we are talking about our forestry, we are talking about our fishing, we are talking about mining. So these are some of the examples that you can that can come to mind that you can actually use. I'm not sure if this is fine. Can I move on to the next? Just give me a thumbs up. So that's what I've done first. Try to define what a settlement is, but our focus is mostly on raw settlement. That's why I don't want to include a lot of things. I don't want to create confusion. Let's cover rural settlement, then tomorrow we cover what? Urban settlement. So are we together? If we are together, guys, if you understand, then just give me a thumbs up. Just give me a thumbs up. So this, I can see there's a lot of thumbs up. So this is what defines a settlement. This is what defines a settlement. And I have moved on to include some of the primary activities. So when you talk about it being unifunctional, which means one, okay? That's what we have. Dominance, primary activities, mostly. That's what we have in as far as the raw settlement is concerned. So let's move on to look at site and situation. Let's move on to look at site and situation. Let's move on to look at site and situation, but we start with site first. Okay, let's look at site. What is site? Okay, what is site? That's what we are going to look at now. What is site? That's what we are going to look at now. This is the exact physical location of a settlement. Okay, or just where the settlement is located. That's what we can say, or where the settlement is located. Settlement is located. Okay. Right. So when we talk about the site, guys, we are saying now this is the exact physical location of a settlement. Where is it located? Where is it located? That's basically what we are talking about. Where is the settlement located? Is it in an area where there's fertile soil? Is it on a gentle slope where it's more gentle, it's flat, which makes it easier to build? Is it located in an area that has got mild climate? When you talk about mild climate, it's not hot, neither is it cold. So that's basically what we are talking about. So we are saying now, when it comes to site, this is the exact location or exact physical location of a settlement, or where the settlement is located. That's basically what we are talking about when you talk about the situation or the site of a settlement. We are saying this is the exact physical location of a settlement. Where is it located? So we are now saying now, when it comes to the site of a settlement, there are reasons, okay, there are things that are taken into consideration. Okay, why is it that we have got more settlements on a gentle slope than on a steep slope. This has something to do with gradient. That's basically what I'm talking about. Why is it that we have got more settlement on fertile land than the land that is unfertile? So there are reasons behind the choosing of a site. Why is that? Even if I'm to incorporate valley climates, why is it that we have got more settlements where we have got the thermal belt in the mid slope? Why is it that we have got more settlement there than at the bottom of the valley? So we are looking at now the temperatures that we have mid slope. They are more habitable as compared to the temperatures that are at the bottom of the slope, because there sometimes the temperatures can go below 0 degrees, which means we can have frost pockets there. So that's basically what I am trying to do. That's basically what I'm trying to do. So let's do it now. So what I'm simply saying, guys, is they are factors. Okay, they are factors that actually influence. Okay, site of a settlement. Site of a settlement. That's basically what I'm talking about. We are saying now, when you are choosing where to locate your settlement, they are factors that influence how or where you are going to locate your settlement. That's basically what we're talking about. Site, the exact physical location of the settlement, where the settlement is located. Okay. If you are fine with the definition of site, can I move on to the factors? A thumbs up. If you are fine with the definition, can I move on to the factors? Just a thumbs up if you are fine, so that I can move on to the factors that influence the site of a settlement. If you are fine, all right. I can see Lamini there, thumbs up, all of you thumbs up. So we are saying now, when we are looking at the site, okay, when we are considering the site of settlement, what are some of the things that actually influence our decision making in as far as where our settlement can be located? I want to take you back, if you can still remember what you did in primary grade 5 when you're looking at ancient Egyptian society. You still remember in grade 5, ancient Egyptian society. I'm going to use that as an example. Remember, there was a part which says that the reason for the existence of Egypt of today is because of farming that started along Nile River. The reason for the existence of the Egypt of today is because of farming that started along Nile River. What did the Nile River give to the people that influenced the location? Okay, number one, let's say availability of water. Availability of water. Okay, some can say fresh water is the same thing. Let me just say water. Availability of water. Okay, availability of water. So that can come as a factor that influence location. Most people, they would prefer to stay in areas, obviously, where there is water that is available. Remember, besides water being a basic need, but people would prefer to locate their settlements where there is water. There is availability of fresh water or availability of water in general. So that's number one. We are saying now, is that the same concept as well? No, we'll get to the weight point. Don't worry, we'll get to the weight point. Let's not mix them. Let's just take the BEP-SAFE scheme. We'll get to that. We'll get to that, to the weight point and dry point. We'll get to that. I'm just trying to, okay. So here we are saying now, one of the factors that you can think of is availability of water. Some can even say fresh water, okay? Okay, but let's generalize the availability of water. We are saying now, if an area has got water, obviously it's likely to influence, they are likely to be a deciding or a determining factor that can result in people locating the settlement within that area. Why? Because there is water that is available. That one need. So water, availability of water is also a factor that influences the site of a settlement. People choose the physical location of their settlement when they consider that is there water that is available. There's someone who's asking, okay, from the comments, is that a wet point? Okay, all right. Okay, availability of water, fresh water. Let's just look at the factors. Then I can just differentiate wet point and dry point settlement. We'll get to that. Okay, so we are saying now availability of water is one of the factors that determine the site of a location. Of course, this water is used for domestic and agricultural purposes. For domestic and agricultural, I'll just say agric purposes. That's what it is being used for. So we are saying now the availability of water is likely to be a determining factor that can help people in choosing the site of a settlement. That's how it affects, which means where we have got water, we are likely to have more settlement being situated there as compared to those areas where we do not have water. That's basically what we're talking about. So availability of water is a determining factor that can actually help in deciding where the settlement can be located. Number two, you can talk about, I would say gradient. Let me just say gradient, okay? Let me just gradient. Mostly, where do we have most of our, do we have flatland, okay? Is it flatland? Flatland, okay, all right. So we are saying mostly on gentle slopes, okay? Okay, gentle slopes, of course, this explains the flatland. It's easier and cheaper to build on flatland. That's basically what we are talking about. It's easy, okay? Easy to build on flatland. That's what we are talking about. It's easy to build on flatland than on steepland. So a gradient is coming now a determining factor where people choose mostly the flatland, which is more gentle in terms of its slope. That's part of the gradient, which means it's easier to build on flatland. That's basically what we're talking about. It's very easy to build on flatland than on steeper slopes. You understand? So we are saying now gradient, which is also, okay, more to do with the flatland specifically, can be a determining factor that can actually help people to choose the physical location of the settlement. So that could be another reason there. Then number three, what else can we talk about? We can talk about availability of building materials. Availability of building materials. Okay. Building materials. In terms of resources, of course, that can also be another factor that can also help in deciding, okay, in determining the site of a settlement. That is availability of building material. Number four can be climate as well. Climate, we are saying most people prefer areas with mild climate, okay? Most people prefer areas with mild climate, okay? When we talk about mild, we are saying this is when it's not hot, neither is it cold. It's in between, okay? Is in between. It's not hot, it's not cold, it's mild. So we are saying that can also be a determining factor when you are choosing the site. That is the climate of the place. Is it hot? Some people might prefer, no, I want to stay in an area that is not hot, neither is it cold, it's somewhere in between. So that could also be a factor. What else could be a factor in determining, okay, we are now talking about fertile soils. Fertile soils. Remember, in my introduction, I said that the reason that we have got the Egypt of today is because of farming that started along Nile River. So we are saying along Nile River, what was there that helped people to locate, okay, within that area where we have got Nile River? Number one was availability of land, availability of water. Number two, it was also the fertile soils that were there, which means the area or the environment that was there was conducive for farming. Why? Because of water was available from the Nile River. Number two, the fertile soils were also there. You understand? So these two are conducive for agriculture. It means it makes easier for people who want to be involved in farming or agriculture. So we are saying now availability of water, fresh water, gradient, mostly the flatland. Is it flatland or gentle? It means now it's easier and cheaper to build on flatland than on steeper slope. So that can also be a determining factor. Then availability of building materials. This is straight into the point. Climate. Most people, I was supposed to say prefer areas. Most people prefer. I just said most people area. Most people prefer. Okay. They prefer areas with mild climates. Mild is not hot, neither is it cold. So if it's mild, it's somewhere in between. It's not cold or hot. This is where more people actually prefer. Then we have also talked about the factor, so that's also another factor. Okay, we can also look at number 6, the issue of microclimates. The issue of microclimates. I'm not going to exhaust all of them, but I'm just trying to explain. Okay, microclimates, think about your valley climates. Where are you likely, okay, to have more settlements, okay? Even if you consider the issue of aspect, if you consider the issue of aspect, in the southern hemisphere, north-facing slope are warmer than south-facing slope. You understand? So that in itself will also determine the choosing of a site. Southern hemisphere, north-facing slope being warmer than south-facing slope. You look at that. You also look at the position, okay, of the thermal belt. Position of thermal belt. Position of thermal belt. We are saying now, when you are looking, considering your valley, this is your valley. The thermal belt is mid-slope, which means we are likely to have more settlement mid-slope. Why? Because here it's warmer as compared to the bottom of the valley. Because here the temperatures can drop below freezing point, which results in the formation of what we call frost pockets. But here we are saying now the temperatures here, they are habitable. Hence, we are likely to have more mid-slope than at the bottom of the valley. That's basically what we are talking about. So in short, I am saying now when you're looking at them, factors that influence the site of a settlement, these are some of the things that you can take into consideration. In consideration, availability of water, fresh water, mostly for domestic, agricultural purposes, okay? Even also industries, they also rely on water, okay? But no, I wouldn't want to say industry because it's more urban, okay? Let me say domestic and agricultural purposes. Then gradient, obviously, we are likely to have more people on flat land as compared to steeper land. Why? Because it's cheaper and easier to build on flat land. Then availability of building materials, of course, that also help, okay? We would want to be closer to this material so that they can cut the cost. That's basically what we are talking about. Climate, most people prefer areas with mild climates, which is it's not hot, neither is it cold, okay? Also, some people can prefer areas where maybe in those areas where they receive more rainfall as compared to other ones. Remember, we have got areas that have got more tropical kind of rainfall. The other ones are arid, which means there's little or no rainfall. So they can also take that into consideration because of the different climates, okay? Then fertile soils, where there are fertile soils, it's conducive for farming or agricultural purposes, we are likely to have more people. Then the microclimates, look at the issue of aspect, the angle at which the incoming solar radiation strikes the slope, which means in the southern hemisphere, the north-facing slope are warmer than the south-facing slope. And also the position of the thermal belt, because in the thermal belt, the temperatures, they are habitable. They are conducive for human settlement as compared to the bottom of the valley, where the temperatures can go below freezing point. Then we have got frost pockets. So that's basically what we are talking about. I just want to know if you understand these factors. I want to know if you understand these factors. Are you fine with these factors that I have explained? Are you fine with these factors that I've explained? Just give me a thumbs up so that I can move on to situation. Are you fine with these factors that I've explained so that I can move on to situation? Are you fine? Are you fine? So these are some of the factors. I'm not saying these are the only ones, but I'm just looking at the simplest ones, okay? If you have got anything, maybe you can add, then we can try to also trade and transport, of course, take into consideration. Can you add, of course, Jaboko and Manzin, okay? I think we have looked at 6 guys. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot. Normally, even if you are going to have a paragraph question, normally the limit is 4. So if we can have more than, I think that's fine. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Are we fine? Can we move on to situation now? Can we move on to situation? Situation. Okay, we are moving on to situation now. Thank you so much, guys. Let's move on to situation. All right. So now that we understand the factors that influence the site of a settlement, let's move on to situation now. Let's move on to situation. Under situation, of course, we're not going to have a lot of factors, but what is important is for you to understand what situation is. That's what you need to understand. Okay, what is situation? That's what we need to understand now. What is situation? Okay. Or before we move to situation, let's try to, there's something, let's try to weight point. Let me try to weight point settlement. Okay. Since it is linked to the factors, let me try to weight point settlement and the dry point. settlement. Okay. Dry point settlement. Okay. Wet point settlements and dry point settlement. Okay. So if you want to know the difference between the two, what we are saying now is normally this is in dry areas. In dry areas, think about, let's say, areas, okay, let's say a desert. You might have maybe one area where you've got an oasis, maybe you've got an area with water. Then the settlement are found within that area where we have got water. It can be around, okay? Let's say we have got an oasis here. This is a water point. Then we have got settlement around. That's what we are saying, that so this resource is scarce where it is found. This is a dry areas where we have little or no rainfall, but we have got an area where water is found within that locality. So we are saying now that's how we end up with the wet point settlement. We have got mostly in dry areas, people are looking for water and they gather around this. Okay, so here people, what are they doing? People are looking for water. They are looking for water and they gather around this. Okay, around this. That's basically what we are talking about. This is a point where we have got our water. It's in a dry areas, it's scarce. That's what we are talking about. The water is scarce within that area. That's why we are saying it's a what? It's in dry areas. It's in dry areas. So this commodity of water is scarce. As a result, people are looking for water and they gather around this. That's how we end up with what we call a wet point settlement. That's basically what we are talking about. So this is called a wet point settlement. It's in dry areas, of course. Then we are saying now we have got a certain water point within that dry. Is a scarce resource within that. Think of a desert. Then there's an area where all water is found there. Then that's where we are likely to have this wet point settlement. Why? Because it's a limited resource. We are saying now, here in dry areas, we are talking about a limited, okay, a limited what? Resource. It's limited. Hence, we are going to have people now where this resource is found. We are saying in dry areas, there is a limited resource. People are looking for water and they gather around this. That's how we end up with the what? Wet point settlement. That's how we end up with the wet point settlement. Okay. So when you talk about a dry point now, we are talking about that areas that are prone to floods. Okay. Areas prone to floods. Okay. That is the difference now. Areas that are prone to floods. What happens now? People, they seek. People seek dry areas. Which means if this area is prone to floods, you want to be as far away as possible where there is a threat of floods. So they go and say where there are dry areas. Okay, remember the river can be flowing within a valley, which is a lower land. So they are going to stay in the upland where they are far away, where they won't be affected by the floods. That's basically what we are talking about. This is what results in what we call a dry point settlement. So there is a threat of floods. Areas prone to floods. People seek dry areas. That's what is happening. People seek dry areas. Okay. Okay. So they are still, okay, just to clarify that, they are still near the water, but, okay, avoid the risk of flood. That's what is happening. Okay, so we are saying these people, water is not scarce in this area, okay? Areas prone to floods. People seek dry areas. They are still near the water, but avoid the risk of floods. You should take note here. Avoid the risk of floods. That's what is happening in as far as wet point and dry point is concerned. Obviously, we have looked at the factors that influence the site. So that's why I had to put this so that at least you understand before we move on to situation. Because mostly the factors that affects the wet point and dry point, it has something to do with the factors that affect the site of a settlement. So are we together with this? Is it fine when the difference between our wet point and dry point? So we are saying the wet point settlement, mostly in dry areas where the resource is scarce, is limited resource. We are saying people are looking for water and they gather around this. I've given an example of maybe within a desert, we have got a point where there's water. The only point where water is available, people with the settlement will build around that certain point. That is a wet point settlement. But now, when we talk about a dry point, we are saying now these are areas that are prone to floods. So what happens? People will move to areas that are dry so that they won't be affected by the floods. That's basically what we are talking about. That's basically what you're talking about. They are still near the water, but they want to avoid the risk of floods. There's someone who's saying, Matlakazi, you're saying that repeat number 2. Okay, no problem. Let me just do it again. I'll repeat, then I'll ask you if it's fine. Then we can move on to situation. So we are saying now, when you are looking at these two, obviously we have looked at the factors that affect or influence the site of a settlement. So we are saying now, this is linked to the factors that affect the site of a settlement. Remember, okay, so wet point settlement, okay, is in dry areas where water is a limited resource. In drier areas, water is a limited resource. People are looking for water and they gather around this. That's what we are talking about, okay? But when we talk about a dry point now, we are saying now, this area is prone to floods. Hence, people have to seek dry areas. They have to be as far away as possible to avoid the risk of flooding. So they are still near the water, but avoid the risk of flooding. That's why I say that there is a river, certain river that can be there, which is prone to flood. Okay, so they try by all means to move as far away from the areas that are affected by floods so that they avoid the risk of flooding. Okay, so that is a dry point settlement. That's basically what it is. Okay, so I think now you understand what the difference between the two. If you understand, can we move on? If you understand, just give me a thumbs up. If you understand the difference between the wet point and the dry point settlement, can we move on? I think you understand. It's clearer now. Matlakas, can you give me a thumbs up? You understand? Thank you so much, Matlakas. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you understand, no one is supposed to be left behind. We move at the same pace. If you don't understand, we explain it until you understand it. Okay, so now let's move on now to the situation of a settlement. The situation now. Okay. Situation of a settlement. We are getting there bit by bit, guys. Situation. What is situation all about? That's what we want to do now. We want to define what situation is all about. Okay. Situation. Let me just use a darker color. Situation now. Situation. That's what we are looking at. What is situation now? We are looking to the settlement. Okay. Settlement in relation. Okay, settlement in relation to its surroundings. Okay. To its surroundings. That is your situation now. Settlement in relation to its surroundings. Okay. To its surroundings. Okay. That is what situation is. That is settlement in relation to its surroundings. That is what situation is. Settlement in relation to its surroundings. That is what situation is. For example, you might find that maybe, let's say we have got a settlement. We have said that each raw settlement is unifunctional. That specializes the dominant activity there is primary agriculture. But the products that they are farming, okay, they want to make sure that they have got their area is accessible. Their area is what? Accessible. So which means accessibility becomes a factor that influence or affect the situation of a settlement. We are saying now, when we are looking at factors, okay, we are now saying now accessibility. Accessibility becomes a factor that affects the situation. We are saying now it is this settlement in relation to its surroundings. Of course, let me give an example. We have got a settlement that deals more maybe with agriculture. At some point, it will want to sell its product to the market. You understand? At some point, we want to sell its product to the market. How accessible is it? You understand? How accessible? Okay. How is it situated, located in relation to the market? Is access to the roads? You understand? That's basically what we are talking about. So accessibility is more like an umbrella term. It covers a lot of things, but it is a point that can explain what situation is in detail. That's basically what we are talking about when we're talking about accessibility. How accessible is it? How is it linked to the transport network? How is it linked to the market? That's basically what we are talking about. How is it linked? Okay? How is it linked to the surrounding areas? Okay? To the surrounding areas. To the surrounding areas. Remember, from the surrounding area, that's where the market is. You are looking at things such as the roads as well. You understand? So these are some of the things that you actually look at in order for you to have a deeper understanding of what situation is. So settlement in relation to its surroundings. Of course, would want a situation whereby if it has something to do with agriculture, at some point they would want to sell their products. How accessible are they to the market? Okay. How accessible are they to the roads, to the communication networks that links them to the surrounding areas and also to the roads? That's basically what we are talking about. Remember, this has to be sold at some point. So there has to be a connection somewhere. So this is something to do with accessibility, settlement in relation to its surroundings. That's basically what we are talking about. So we are talking about now is access to market, to the roads, nearby areas, nearby surrounding areas, nearby surrounding areas, surrounding areas. Okay. So basically, that's what we are more concerned with when we are talking about the situation. So this is the settlement in relation to its surroundings. Someone is saying, let's keep on asking the question because I'm also concerned about, curious about the question. Okay, what is the question, guys? Sorry, I was just busy there. Okay, which question? If I can check. Let me check if there is a question. Check the comments. All right, I'm checking now. The weight point, I think we have done that already. Okay. Okay, are you following, guys, the explanation of the, are you following, guys, the explanation of the situation? Are you following? Yeah, the question that is that I got there is about the weight point. I think I have already covered that. The difference between your weight point and your dry point, I think I have explained that. Okay, do you understand the situation? Do you understand the situation? Thumbs up if you understand from the explanation that I've given. The situation, do you understand? Do you understand? Just give me a thumbs up if you understand from the explanation that I've given. There's someone who's saying no. What is confusing? So we are saying situation is a settlement in relation to its surroundings. Of course, we started off with where the settlement is located, but we announce now where it's located. Okay, what is the situation? This is a settlement in relation to its surroundings. Okay, we are saying now situation is settlement in relation to its surroundings. Okay, all right. So what we are saying now, guys, is when we talk about the situation, settlement in relation to its surroundings, such as other settlements, the physical issue, and the communication networks. Okay, so we are looking at surroundings as in other settlements. Okay, as in other settlements. That is, we are looking at number 2, physical issues, physical issues, physical issues. We are also looking at the other thing will be the communication networks. Okay, the communication networks. Okay. So we are saying now situation is settlement in relation to its surroundings. That's basically what we are looking at. What is the surroundings that we are concerned about? Other settlement. How is it positioned in relation to other settlements? That's basically what we are talking about, okay? That's what we are talking about. Of course, when you talk about the raw settlement, since we are focusing on that, obviously the market would be maybe in the surrounding urban areas. So how is it located in relation to those surrounding settlement? That's basically what we are talking about, because at some point, obviously, they need to be easy movement of the products or even of the people. So which means we are looking now in terms of its position in relation to other settlement, in also physical issues, also in relation to what? The communication network. That's why I said when we are talking about situation, the point that explained the situation in detail is accessibility. So we are looking at accessibility as an umbrella term. How accessible is it to the market after you have found a certain product? Let's say you have got products like, okay, let's say you're more into milk cows or milking of cows. Obviously, milk is very perishable. You would want to make sure that as soon as you have milked your cows, you want to make sure that you can be able to take the product to the market earlier. Why? Because it's perishable. It can easily turn back, which means the issue now of accessibility in terms of market is very important. As soon as you're done milking, you take it to the market where you are selling. So that becomes a situational factor, which means we are talking about accessibility to the market as a factor. Okay, in terms of roads as well, obviously for an area to become accessible, okay, to be connected to the other surrounding areas, we are talking about the easy access to roads, the easy access to roads, okay? Is access to roads as well, okay? To roads, okay? Is access to roads. Obviously, in terms of transportation of this product, you want also to be situated in an area where there is easy access to road as well. Then the nearby surrounding areas, obviously, the nearby surrounding area can also work as a market as well. You understand? That's basically what we are talking about. So situation, settlement in relation to its surroundings, in relation to the other settlement, physical issues, communication networks. But the most important point when it comes to the situation is your accessibility. That is the most important factor that can help you to understand what situation is. So if we are fine, can I have a thumbs up? If you are fine, can I have a thumbs up? If you are fine, can I have a thumbs up? If you are fine, let's have a thumbs up. If you are fine, thumbs up. I think we are fine now. So I want us now to look at what we have under rural settlements. What type of settlement do we have under rural settlement? What do we have? Okay, under rural settlement. Okay. What do we have under rural settlement? All right, before we move on to the patterns and the shapes. So under rural settlements, we have got the isolated, okay? Isolated farmstead. We have got the what? Isolated farmstead, sorry. Okay. What else do we have? We have got the rural hamlet. Rural hamlet. We have got the rural hamlet. Then we have got the village. So this is what we have under rural settlement. This is what we have under rural settlement. Okay. This is what we have under rural settlement. This is the smallest. This is the smallest. Okay. This is the largest or the biggest, whichever way you put it. Under rural settlement. Under rural settlement, we have got the isolated farmstead, we have got the rural hamlet, then we have got the village. So we are putting them in terms of size. We are putting them in terms of size. We have got the isolated farmstead, then we have got the rural hamlet, then we have got the village. That's what we have. This is the largest in as far as raw settlement is concerned. That is your village. Okay, that is your village. But I know in general, we can say that raw settlement, what we have got the farm and the what? And the village. Okay, but to be specific, what we have according to our ATP, we have got the isolated farmstead, we have got the rural hamlet, then we have got the village. This is what we have in as far as rural settlement is concerned. So this is what we have in as far as rural settlement is concerned. Okay, so we have got the isolated farmstead, we have got the rural hamlet, then we have got the village. But in general, rural settlement, it covers farms and village. That's basically what we are talking about. Okay, that's basically what we are talking about. If it's fine, can you give me a thumbs up so that I can move on? If it's fine. I want us to look at now the settlement patterns, rural settlement patterns. That's what I want us to look at now. If this is fine, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you give me a thumbs up? Okay, sharp. So this is what we have. Let's look now at rural settlement patterns. Okay. Rural settlement patterns. Okay. Rural settlement patterns. So, what I am going to make sure that you understand is what do we mean, what is it that we mean by patterns? Okay. What is it that we mean by patterns? Okay. Okay. So we are more concerned with distance, okay, between buildings. That's what this is all about. The distance between buildings. That's what we are more interested when you talk about the pattern. The distance between buildings. That's what we are more interested with. Okay, distance between buildings. Okay, or arrangement of buildings in relation to one another. That's basically what we are talking about. Okay. So we are talking about the arrangement of buildings in relation to one another. So I want you to tell me if you understand now what the concept of pattern is before I start giving examples of this pattern. So we are talking about the distance between buildings, the arrangement of buildings in relation to one another. Do you understand that part? I'm going to give examples. Okay, Samantha, that's correct. Okay, Etienne, that's correct. I appreciate. Montle just joined. Muhadi just joined. Do you understand, guys, so that I can continue to give the different patterns that we have? Can we continue? All right, sharp. So we are saying now, number one, where we have got the buildings like this, they are far away from each other. You understand? They are far away from each other. So we can look at this as this. What? I want to hear from you. Dispersed. They are far away from each other. So it means they are dispersed. They are what? Dispersed. They are far away. There is another one. You can see there is another one here, another one there, another one there, another one there. They are dispersed. Can you check? They are dispersed. As a pattern, it means they are far away from each other. They are dispersed. They are far away from each other. That's basically what we are talking about. They are far away from each other. They are dispersed. They are dispersed. Or one can come up with the word isolated as well. Isolated. You don't find them in one point. They are dispersed. There's another one here, another one there. They are dispersed. So you find that isolated, dispersed, they are far away from each other. Are you following? Are you fine with dispersed as a pattern? Are you fine with the dispersed as a pattern so that we can move on? Are you fine with the dispersed as a pattern so that we can move? Can you please use a darker whiteboard marker? All right, I'll try to do that. Thank you so much. All right, so we are saying now this is what is dispersed, okay, isolated. I'm looking at these and more or the same. Of course, they are far away from each other. Remember, I said distance between buildings when they are isolated. The other one is there, the other one is there, the other one is here, the other one is here, the other one is there, the other one is there. So this is where the dispersed is coming from. They are isolated. They are far away from each other. So if you understand this one, let's move on to the next one. We want to look at nucleated now. I want us to look at nucleated and clustered, what we mean by that. So when we talk about nucleated, okay, this is, I'm going to use the other side for nucleated now. We are saying now, if it's nucleated, we are saying now, what is the distance between the building? They are very close. Can you see here? They are very close to each other. Okay, that is your nucleated. Can you see? They are buildings are very close to each other. That is your nucleated. Do you understand nucleated? Can you check there where nucleated? You can see the distance between the buildings. They are very close to each other. They are nucleated, very close to each other. That's what we mean by nucleated. Okay. They are very close to each other. That is what we mean by nucleated. Okay. I want us now to include under nucleated. Okay. Just below it, I want us to include clustered. When we say they are clustered now, we are saying, I'm going to draw something like this so that you understand. We can have buildings here, very close. We have another one here. Very close, we have another one here. Very close, we have another one here. That's what we mean by clustered now. This is what we mean by clustered. We have got these ones nucleated here, there, and there. So this explains what we call clustered. That's what clustered means. Okay, so we have got some nucleated here, there, and there, and there. That's clustered. This is nucleated, but this is clustered now. When they... Okay, before I do anything, let me just hear from you guys. Are you seeing the difference between clustered and nucleated? Are you seeing the difference between clustered and nucleated? Clustered and nucleated. If you understand, please give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up if you understand the difference between clustered and nucleated. Okay. Mantlakazi are saying no, don't worry, I'm going to explain now. Okay, we are saying now, can you saw Ephraim, you are saying no problem, I'm going to explain now. We are saying, let me take you back. This is still the pattern. Nucleated. Remember, we said pattern, distance between building. So if it's nucleated, it's like this. This explains nucleated here. This explains nucleated, what we have here. Explains nucleated, okay. But we are saying now, if we have got this nucleated here, is there as well, is there as well, is there as well. This is what explains a clustered pattern. We have got buildings here, very close to each other, buildings there close to each other, buildings there close to each other. That's what we refer to as clustered. Okay, are we together? That's basically what we are talking about. So nucleated, the distance is very close. But clustered, we have got different nucleations that are taking place. We have got another one there. I'll say, okay, look at A, B, C, and D. All of them being found in one settlement. All of them being found in one settlement. All of them being found in one settlement. That is your A, B, C, and D. So that's what makes it to be clustered. That's what makes it to be clustered. So you've got your A, B, C, and D being found in one settlement. So that's what makes it to be clustered. That's basically what we are talking about. Is it fine now? Is it fine now? Is it fine now? The difference between your nucleated and your clustered, is it fine? Is it fine now? The difference between your nucleated and I think it's fine. Samantha, you've said it's fine. Yakalo, you've said it's fine. Kanya, yes, say it's fine. Okay. If it's fine, I want us to move now to the shapes. I want us to move to the shapes now. Or before we move to the shapes, I think we can look at the advantages of dispersed and also advantages of nucleated. I think before we move to the shape, we can, Zintle, you are saying I should repeat. Okay, no problem, I will do that. Okay. Which one do you want me to repeat, Zintle? Which one do you want me to repeat? Because you have to be specific. What exactly do you want me to repeat? Zintle, can you be specific? I want us to move at the advantages and disadvantages of nucleated and also of dispersed. I want us to look at the advantages and disadvantages of nucleated and dispersed. Clustered. Okay, no problem. Let me repeat clustered for just to help Zintle. Can you see on the board, we have got at the top nucleated. We have got here, what we have? We have got nucleated here. Can you see we have got nucleated there? Which means the buildings, they are very close to each other. Are you following? Okay. Linear is a shape. Linear is a shape, guys, not a pattern. It's a shape. We'll get to that. So we are saying now, this is nucleated. The distance between buildings, they are very close to each other. But now, if you look at here, where we have got, just below the nucleated, we have got A, B, C, D. All these are found within one settlement. These are found within one settlement, which means it's nucleated here, it's nucleated there. That's what we refer to as cluster. We have got A, B, C, D. If you look at A, B, C, and D, all of them are nucleated, but they are found within one settlement. So that's how it gives us a clustered settlement. Why? Because of the way the buildings are. Okay, we have got this, and this, and this. So we have got different nucleations that are there. This, and this, and this. That's how a cluster is formed. Nucleated distance between buildings, we are saying they are very close to each other. So hence, it's form a nucleated settlement pattern. Here now is clustered because you have got different nucleations that we have within the same settlement. That's what gives us a clustered. Okay, so is it clear now? Is it clear now so that I can move on to the next? Exactly, yeah, that's more or less. It's clustered because of the spaces between those nucleated. Yeah, that's what it's all about, Zintle. That's what it's all about. Okay, that's what it's all about. Can I move on, Zintle? Give me a thumbs up so that we can move on the advantages of dispersed and disadvantages. Then we also look at the advantages and disadvantages of nucleated. Can you give me a thumbs up, Zintle, so that I can move on? Yes. Thank you so much. Let's look at the advantages of dispersed pattern. Advantages of dispersed patterns. Let's look at the advantages now. Advantages of dispersed patterns. All right. Advantages. I'm going to do it like this. Here we look at the advantages. Advantages of dispersed pattern. Okay. What are some of the advantages of dispersed pattern? What are some of the advantages? I'm going to list maybe about 3. Okay, all right. Advantages of dispersed patterns. So I'm going to list the advantages. Okay. Advantages of dispersed patterns. Number 1, let's talk about what can we talk about? Advantage of dispersed patterns. Number 1, they have privacy. They have privacy. Okay. Advantages. That's number 1. They've got privacy. Remember, they are isolated. They are far away from each other. So they have got privacy. That's an advantage. We are looking at the advantages. What else can we talk about? They make their own decisions. They make independent decisions. Independent decisions. Okay, they make independent decisions. That's what they do. Number 3, what else do they do? They own all the profits. Own all the profits. That's what they do. Own all the profits. They own all the profits. Then let's do the last one. We can say, what else can we say? More accessible to tools and machinery. More accessible to tools and machinery. Right. So let's look at the disadvantages. Right. So the first advantage is we have said that, guys, this is just to make sure that we understand the concept. So we have said that they have got privacy. Remember, they are isolated. They are far from each other. So that's why we are saying they have privacy in terms of advantage, okay? We are saying they make independent decisions. The land is not communal owned. You understand? It is dispersed, which means they make independent decisions. Okay, then they own all the profits. It's not shared like in a communal, which is more nucleated. Then they are more accessible to tools and machinery. That's what is happening. Of course, the crime rates are high. Is also very important. Okay, so do you understand the advantages that we have outlined? I want us to move on to the disadvantages. Let's look at the disadvantages now, because I want us to have dispersed on the other side, then nucleated on the other side. Let's look at the disadvantages now. Let's look at the disadvantages now. What we have, this lack of security. Number 1, lack of security. All right. Lack of security. Number 2, we can talk about what else? We can talk about they have to pay all the costs. They have to pay all the cost. Remember, here they are independent, which means they incur all the cost. They have to pay all the cost. What else can we talk about? No interaction with people. No interaction. Interaction with people. No interaction with people. What else can we talk about? Difficult to share ideas. Difficult to share ideas. Difficult to share ideas. So we have looked at advantages and disadvantages, okay? We have said, okay, no help for the sick and disabled, obviously, because that's why we have lack of security, you have to pay all the cost, no interaction with people, difficult to share ideas. So land is fragmented, obviously, that's how the dispersed is coming from. So are we fine? Give me a thumbs up if we are fine with the advantages and disadvantages of dispersed. I want us to look at the advantages of nucleated now. Advantages of nucleated. If you are fine, give me a thumbs up. Sharp. Shows that we are following. Then let's look at the advantages. Advantages of nucleated. Nucleated pattern. What are some of the advantages? Let's do the same. What are some of the advantages? What can we talk about? In terms of safety, what can we say? It's safe. Okay, it's more secure as compared, because remember, it's nucleated, people are close to each other, of course, in terms of the buildings, proximity to each other, safe in terms of safety. Number 2, what else can we talk about? We can talk about more interaction with people, more interaction with people, more interaction with people. What else can we talk about? We can talk about sharing of ideas, okay, and cost as well. Sharing of idea and cost as well. What else can we talk about? Sharing of tools, and machinery, sharing of tools and machinery. Okay, so these are the advantages, just in brief, of your nucleated. We are saying it's more safer. Remember, it's more communal, like people, the buildings very close to each other. Okay, safety, more interaction with people, sharing of ideas and cost, sharing of tools and machinery. Okay, are we fine with advantages so that services such as clinic are easy to access? That's correct. Slumelo, that's correct. What else? Let me read your comments as well. What else can we say about the advantages? If we are fine with the advantages, give me a thumbs up so that we can move on to the disadvantages. If we are fine with advantages, give me a thumbs up so that we can move on to the disadvantages. If you're fine, of course, Nana, that's correct. Thank you, Nana. Thumbs up from Nana. Ace, thank you. Thank you, guys. All right, let's move on to the disadvantages. Disadvantages. What could be some of the disadvantages? There is no privacy. Number one, no privacy. This is more like communal owned. There's no privacy. What else? The arguments, conflicts may arise, prone to conflicts, and disagreements. What else can we talk about? We are saying, what else? There's sharing of profits. It means it affects the income. Sharing of profits, what does it do? Affects income. Sharing of profits obviously is going to affect the income. Number four, what else can we talk about? You cannot use machinery or tools when you want to. You can, one cannot use tools or machinery when they want to. Because maybe the time you want to use it, someone else is using it. So these are the advantages, guys, and disadvantages of the two. So we have got advantages of dispersed pattern. You can have these guys, less safety of nucleated, no decision making, on decisions. Oh no, not okay. They don't make their own the decision. It's more communal. You make it as a group, the decisions under nucleated. So are we fine with the advantages and disadvantages? Are we fine with the advantages and disadvantages? Are we fine with advantages and disadvantages? Are we fine with advantages and disadvantages? Are we fine with advantages and disadvantages? Give me a thumbs up if you are fine with advantages and disadvantages. So let's now move on to the shape. If you are fine, let's move on now to the shape of rural settlement. Thumbs up if you are fine. I want us to move to the shape of rural settlement. Let's move on now to the shape of rural settlement. The shapes now of rural settlement. The shapes of rural settlement. That's what we are doing now. We are going to look at the shapes of rural settlement. That's what we are doing. So when it comes to the shape, what exactly are we more concerned with? Let me try to write what the shape is all about. It refers to the layout. It refers to the layout of the settlement, layout of the settlement, and the factors that influence this layout. So we are saying now, when we talk about the shape, we are more concerned with the layout of the settlement and the factors that influence this layout. That's basically what we are talking about. So what are some of the things to include when it comes to the shape? What are some of the things to include when it comes to the shape? Let's talk about the first one. We are saying now, okay, before I start with the different type of shapes, do you understand the concept before I start? Okay, we have said shape of rural settlement refers to the layout of settlement and the factors that influence this layout. Are we together? Before I start looking at the different shape of rural settlement, are we fine? Give me a thumbs up if you are fine so that we can start. Anyway, you are saying no. The shapes to the layout of settlement and the factors that influence this layout. We haven't started with the shapes. I want you to indicate if you understand what I've written on the board. Okay. Or you understand as I'll be explaining some of the shapes. You understand as I'll be explaining some of the shapes. You understand as I will be explaining some of the shapes. So what are some of the different shapes that we okay, what are some of the different shapes that we have? Okay, number one, let's talk about the round. All right, the round shape. Okay, what explains this round shape? We are saying now there is a common interest that actually result in this shape. They arise as a result of a common interest. That's how this round shape arises. They arise as a result of what? A common interest or a common interest or a factor. That's how this shape arise or come into play. Let's say there is water here. Okay, it's in an area where water is scarce. As a result, we end up have settlements around these. Obviously, it gives us a round shape, which means the shape that we are going to have in as far as our settlement is concerned is round, is around what? A common factor or interest. Okay, it can be a church, it can be a water resource, it can be a marketplace. So we are saying it can be a water resource, it can be a marketplace, it can be a church, but there is something that brings people together. That's basically what we are talking about. So that's how we end up with a round shape. That's how we end up with a round shape. Are we together then? Are we together? Before we proceed, are we fine with the round shape? We are saying now there should be a common interest or a factor. All right, round, circular is the same thing. It's the same thing. Circular, round is the same thing. It's also circular. From the word circle, it's also circular. It's the same thing. Circular. Round, from the word circle, circular. Are we fine with this? Are we fine with this? It's circular, Kanya, that's correct. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, Kanya, that's correct. It's circular, okay? Circular, round is the same thing, guys. From the word circle, our circle is round. I wasn't following. You say, please repeat. Okay, we are saying now, when we talk about the rural the shape of row settlement. It refers to the layout of the settlement and the factors that influence this layout. So what influence the layout of a round or a circular is there is a common interest or a common factor that result in a shape of a circular or a round shape. Like for example, we have said that there is a common interest in terms of a water resource. So we have settlement around these common factor or interest. That's how we end up with a circular shape or a round shape. Let's say maybe there's a church, then we have got a settlement around that common factor. That's how we end up with a round shape or a circular shape. That's how we end up with a round shape or a circular shape. These settlements are influenced by people with a common factor or interest. So round shape is influenced by the people with a common factor or interest. That's basically what we are talking about. Is it easy now? There is a common interest or a factor. That's how we end up with that circular or the round shape. Are you following? Guys, don't forget to tap the screen as well, guys. Don't forget to tap the screen as you are going through this. Don't forget to tap the screen. So is it fine, guys? Can I move on to the next one? Can I move on to the next one? Yes, we are. We can. We are all all right. Sharp Kanya, thank you. Let's move on. Are we fine? Are we fine? Let's move on to linear now. Let's move on to linear. Okay. Okay. So when we talk about the second one now, we are going to talk about the linear. That is number 2. Linear. Number 2, we are saying we are talking about what? The linear. From the word line. Linear. From the word line, just to make your life easier. So they develop along roads. Where else can we find this? Okay, it can be railway lines. It can be rivers. Okay, where else? Rivers, or where? Or between mountains. Or between mountains. Okay. Between mountains. Okay, so the shape that is formed now is a line. We are saying, okay, is a line. Let's say this is a river. So we are saying now, the shape that is formed now, they develop along roads, railway lines, rivers, between mountains. So the shape that is formed by this settlement is linear. Like I think I gave an example when I was explaining that the Egypt of today that we have, it started by farming along the Nile River, which means the first thing in ancient Egypt, what happened is those people were farming along Nile River. So if you look at it in terms of the shape of the settlement, when it started, you'll find that it was more linear because they were, the farming started along the Nile River, which means their settlements were following the river. It was along the river. That's basically what we are talking about. So when the settlement is following along, is developing along roads. Linear is coming from the word line, guys. From the word line, like this. This is a river. We have got settlement. So that's basically what we are talking about. It can be a road. We have got settlement by the side. That's how we end up with the linear, okay, shape of a row settlement. That is your linear from the word line. From the word line. That's where it's coming from. That's where it's coming from. Don't forget to tap the screen, guys. Are we fine with linear? Are we fine with linear? Are we fine with linear? Tap the screen. Tap the screen. Are we fine with linear? Give me a thumbs up if you are fine with linear. Nyakalo, thank you. Thank you, Nyakalo. It shows that you understand. All right, Nana, Kanya, Isna. Thank you. So let's move on to the next one. We want to talk now about the crossroad. The crossroad. Okay, number 3. We want to talk about the crossroad. The what? Number 3, we are talking now about the crossroad. Crossroad. Okay, that's another shape. How does it develop? It develops. Guys, some of these things are self-explanatory. Okay, develops where roads cross. Where roads cross. That's where it is common. We are saying now we have got something like this. Okay, it can be T-shaped, of course. We have got here in whatever, someone can say T-shaped, okay, whatever, all right? Something like this. It can be like this, as long as the roads are crossing. That's how we end up with the shape. As long as the roads are crossing in whatever form, that's how we end up with a crossroad. That's how we end up with a what? Crossroad. So develops where roads cross. That is our crossroads. That is our crossroads. Are we fine with the crossroads? Are we fine with the crossroads? Are we fine with the crossroads? It seems like people are fine. Okay, let's move on to the T-shaped. Let's move on to the T-shaped. So more or less, okay. The next one, number 4. Let's move on to the T-shaped. The T-shaped. What we have now, the T-shaped. All right, we have got something like this. All right. Okay, how does it develop? We are saying this is common when there is a T junction. That's where it is common. You can see there is a T junction, there's this road, then there's this. What is formed now is a T shape. That is your T shape. It's common where there is a T junction. That's where it is common. That's another shape. It's common where there is a T junction. If it's fine, please give me a thumbs up. T junction. It's common where there is a T junction. It's common where there is a T junction. Common where there is none. Thank you. All right, I can see. Then the last one, what do we have? We have got what we call a star-shaped. 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 What we have? We are likely to have something like this. All of them, they are moving towards this. Okay? We have got settlements there. We have got there. We have got there. We have got there. So this is giving us a star shape. The roads are converging from all directions. Road converge from all directions. So converging, they are moving towards this point. That's basically what we're talking about. They are moving towards the central point. So they are converging from all directions. That's what gives us a star shaped. That's what gives us a star shape. They are converging from all directions. So in short, we have got the round, linear, crossroad, T-shaped, and star-shaped settlement. That's what we have. Okay, can you see now the patterns? We are saying now, when you talk about the patterns, we are talking about the distance between the buildings. Okay, it can be dispersed or isolated. That is a pattern. Okay, it can be nucleated or clustered. That is a pattern. But the shape now, what is formed? Okay, you can see what we have here. These are the different shapes that we have. We have talked about the round, linear, crossroad, T-shaped, and the star-shaped. Are we fine, guys? I want us to move now to rural settlement issues. Are we fine? If it's fine, then we can move to rural settlement issues. Let's move to rural settlement issues now. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Rural settlement issues. That's where we are moving to now. Rural settlement issues. So our next now is rural settlement issues. Rural settlement issues. we are now talking about the rural settlement issues, okay? What is included under rural settlement issues? Number one is rural to urban migration. Rural to urban migration. Rural urban migration. That's number one. Number two, social justice issues. Social justice issues, including the land reform. Including land reform. So these are the two things that we are going to look at under rural settlement issues. We are going to start with the rural urban migration. Rural urban migration, sorry, it's the rural urban migration. Rural urban migration. Rural urban migration. Then after that, we look at social justice issues, including the land reform. Can I start now with the rural urban migration? Can I start with the rural urban migration? Thumbs up. Can I start with the rural urban migration? Can I start with the rural urban migration? Give me a thumbs up. Thank you, Nana. Thank you, Tlengiwe. Thank you, Gangster. Thank you, Nyakalo. Okay, so we are going to start first with the rural urban migration. All right. So what is rural urban migration? We need to start with the definition. The definition. We have to know, remember, this is a concept. Usually you have a question where you get 2 marks. So this is a concept. You have to make sure that you write it correctly. You have to make sure that you write it correctly. So what is rural urban migration? This refers to the movement of people from the rural areas to the urban areas. Okay, the movement of people from rural areas to urban areas. That's what it is. It's the movement of people from rural areas to urban areas. So this is the first thing that we have to start with. What is rural urban migration? You have to know how to define. This is a concept. So if you don't define it correctly, then it means you won't get the 2 marks. This is a concept. You have to get it right. Okay. So when it comes to rural urban migration now, there are 2 things that should come to mind. There are 2 things that should come to mind. We have got what we call push factors. Then we have got what we call pull factors. Okay. All right. So you cannot talk about rural to urban migration without mentioning the push and pull factors, because we want to understand what causes people to leave the rural areas. So when we talk about the push factors, these are the factors that force people. This one, they force people to leave. Force people to leave rural areas. Okay? That's what they do. What forces people? What drives people away from the rural areas? That's basically what we are talking about. What forces people to leave rural areas? That's basically what we are talking about. Things that drive people to move to urban areas. So this is what forces people to leave the rural areas. So I want you to take note now. When you are talking about, let's start with the push, guys. Please, let's take it step by step. I can see you, some of you are writing push factors. Let's start with the push factors first. Let's start with the push factors. Push. What is causing people? Let's start with the push factors, guys. Let's start with, in terms of services, can we say poor service delivery, unemployment? You understand? Let's say lack of employment. Let's say 1, lack of employment. Let's say poor services. Poor services. What else can we talk about? Poor services. My marker is becoming faint now. We have said lack of employment. We have said poor services. Lack of employment, poor services. What else can we talk about? Natural disasters such as let's say infertile cells. Okay. What else can we talk about? Okay, so these are just examples. So we are saying number one, of course, the factors can be divided into economic, social, physical factors. Okay, so here, guys, make sure the way you write your push factors, like lack of proper housing. I know lack of services. Services is an umbrella term. You can say services in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms what can you talk about? Okay, less entertainment. So all those things, poor farming methods, of course, they are pushing people away from the rural areas, which means they cannot continue to stay in the rural areas because of those factors which are pushing them away. So lack of employment, the poor services is more like an umbrella term. You can talk about education, maybe poor institutions, of course, in terms of there's no university, the schools doesn't have all the resources, poor salaries, not like as such, but poor salaries, they are not getting enough. You understand? So it's causing people now to leave the rural areas because of these factors. That's why we define them as what? Push factors, because they force people to leave. They are the driving force behind the people leaving the rural areas. That's basically what we are talking about. So lack of employment, what is the difference between poor and lack? Poor in terms of service delivery, you would find that if you compare the urban and the rural, you would find that the service could be there, but it's not up to expectation. That's what makes it poor. You understand? That's what makes it poor. Of course, if it's done in the proper way, obviously, we are looking at it as good service delivery. But when it's lack, we are saying there is no. That's basically what we are talking about. When you talk about lack, it means there is no. In most cases, there is lack. We might not have good schools. There is lack of better schools. You understand? They might be, maybe in terms of infrastructure is not that good. You understand? That's basically what we are talking about. Poor in terms of the quality that is being given in terms of service. That's basically what we are talking about. So guys, are you fine with the push factors? I know I didn't list a lot, but the idea is for you to know what is a push factor. Lack of employment. Make sure that you write it in a way that shows that it is self-explanatory. Okay, can you divide each into social? Okay, someone is saying let's divide into social. Let's start with the physical. Let's talk about this. Let's start with the physical. What do you think would be the physical push factors? What can we put under physical push factors? What can we put under physical push factors? What can we put under physical push factors? Infrastructure is not under physical. What can we put under physical push factors? Natural. Okay, let's say natural. What can we put under natural factors? The droughts, the floods. What else can we talk about? The earthquakes, the soil becoming maybe infertile, the soil becoming infertile. So that falls under natural. These are the things that are pushing people away from. Sometimes you can also have nature's disease coming from nature as well. So erosion, land degradation, which means it becomes difficult for the farms to produce. You understand? Soil erosion, which affects the soil fertility, floods. So all those things are more natural. Of course, they change the quality of the soil, which affect productivity and the yields. Hence, people has to move away. What else? How about economic? Under economic, something that has got impact on the income and profits. That's more economic now. Something that has got an effect on the profits and income, that is more economic. Unemployment, you understand? Unemployment, which means they cannot get an income. You understand? Poor salaries, that's more economic. What else can we talk about? What else can we talk about under economic? What else can we talk about? How about the issue of mechanization? Mechanization, which means now when we are using machines, which means people do not have jobs, they are bound to leave as well. So it also get into that. What else can we talk about? No investment. If there are no investment in rural areas, which means the rural economy is affected in a negative way, people are bound to leave. That's more economic. How about social? Social. How about social? What can we include under social? Does skill fall under economic? Obviously, with skills, what you have, you provide, you offer your skills to get an income. It can also fall under there, of course. How about social now? Social, poor service delivery, poverty. Yeah, that's correct. So I think we are able to put this into different categories. So anything economic, think about the profits, think about the income. Okay? Anything social, think about something that is emanating from the societal relations, from the society. Of course, let's look at the better services, what else? Housing, and so on and so on. But mostly, service is more like an umbrella term when it comes to the social push factors. Okay, are we fine with that? Can we move on to pull factors? Pull factors, what could be some of the pull factors? The pull factors, what do? They attract people to an area. In this instance, we are talking about the urban areas. So what is it that attracts people to the urban areas? That's your pull factors now. The pull. What do we have within the urban areas that attracts people to say, there's better life in the urban areas? What attracts people? So number one, we can talk about the better services. Better services. We can talk about better employment opportunities. We can talk about, what else can we talk about? Better employment opportunities. What else can we talk about? Better services. Better services, guys, covers a lot of things. It's more like an umbrella term. So it covers a lot of factors, like your education, like your health, sanitation, all those things. It's under services. So you can try. My advice is try to separate. Don't just say better services, because otherwise you run out of ideas. So it's going to cover in terms of education. Okay. Sanitation, healthy facilities, and so on and so on. So fine, already I've got 3 points, but if you say better services, which means you are limiting yourself, try to write them like better education, better sanitation, better health, better housing. You understand? Things like that. You're also looking at housing. So you find now, if you just say better services, but if you try to break them down, you can get your 8 marks if it's a paragraph question. Okay, better employment opportunities. What else can you talk about? Better income. Okay, in terms of salary. Better income. Okay, in terms of salaries and wages. Salaries and wages is better. What else can you talk about? Good infrastructure, better and good infrastructure. You can also talk about all those things. So anything that you find within the urban area is better as compared to the rural. There's entertainment as well in the urban area, of course. Bright lights, entertainment. What else? Sihle, between the rural and urban, which one is more secure? Between the rural and the urban, which one is more secure? It's a controversial question, but I just want to know, Sihle, between the rural and the urban, which one is more secure? Gangster say rural, Sihle urban. Which one is more secure? Between the rural and the urban, do we have? Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to the question. Now we are just, I'm just explaining the concept. Which one is more secure? People are saying rural. See, they are now changing because people are saying rural. You are now saying rural because most people are saying rural. Okay. All right, guys. So are we fine with these push and pull factors? Are we fine? Okay, just a thumbs up. So we are saying now, what are some of the effects? What are some of the effects of rural urban population, or rural urban migration? Sorry, I'm removing this now. What are the consequences or the effects? What are the effects now? What are the effects or the consequences of? All right, let me just write the consequences of rural urban migration. Rural urban migration. What are some of the effects? I'll say effects or consequences of rural urban migration. What are some of the effects? I'll write them. I want to see from you now. Empty farmhouse, the area does not improve, decrease investment, that's correct. Let me write them down as well. I can see, okay. Number one, we are saying decrease in investment. Decrease investment. Number two, we are talking about an aging population. I'll explain one by one. Number three, we are talking about infrastructure is neglected. Infrastructure is neglected. What else can we talk about? Closure of business. What else can you talk about? Rural depopulation. What else can you talk about? Rural depopulation. Half-empty schools. Okay. Half-empty schools. Okay. All right. Can I explain? All right. So we are saying now what will happen as a result of people living rural areas. What will happen as a result of people living rural areas? Number one, we are saying now there is a decrease in investment. Since the more energetic the young generation obviously is migrating, obviously we are bound to have what? A decrease in investment, because these people, they form part of the labor force. So the moment they are migrating to the urban areas, which means the more energetic, the economically active, if I can take you back to the part of your population in grade 10, the economically active, they are leaving now the rural areas. So which means there is a decrease in investment. Obviously, people would want to come and invest in a rural economy. They expect to have locally available labor. If there are no people to work, obviously, they cannot come and invest. So there's likely to be a decrease in investment. That's basically what we are talking about when they move away. Because these are the people who drive the economy, the rural economy. So if the same people who drive the rural economy are leaving, obviously there's bound to be a decrease in investment. Okay. Do we understand the first point, the decrease in investment? Give me a thumbs up if you understand. Decrease in investment. Can you give me a thumbs up if you understand? I'll go point by point. Thumbs up if you understand decrease in investment. Thank you so much. Keketso, thank you so much. Sitle, Kanya, thank you so much. Let's move on now to aging population. When we are talking about the aging population, we are saying who is left behind. Who is left behind? When the young and the energetic migrate, the old people are left. Old people are left behind. That's basically what we are talking about. So there is an aging population in the rural area now. That's basically what we are talking about. There is an aging population, which means the old, the weak are left in the rural areas. They are left behind. Are we fine with point number 2? If we are fine with point number 2, then we can move on to the next point, that is infrastructure. Okay. Thumbs up if we are fine so that we can move on. All right. Well, now we are talking about the infrastructure in terms of roads, in terms of telecommunications and buildings and all those things, which means these things are neglected. In some instances, I think you can see in your notes, we talk about ghost town, even those townships, of course, where the business centers, when people are leaving this behind. So it means infrastructure is neglected. There's no one to maintain it because it's no longer in use. Hence, it is neglected. It is left behind. There is no one to maintain. It's abandoned. Buildings are abandoned. That's basically what we are talking about. Infrastructure is neglected. Who will take care of it? It's now abandoned. It's left like that. Okay, that's basically what we are talking about. If you understand number 3, infrastructure is neglected, let's move on. Thumbs up if you understand. If you understand, let's move on. Okay, if you understand, thumbs up. Business will close down. So we are talking about number 4. The business, what will happen? Business will close down. Business close. That's basically what we are talking about. Remember, the people that are in that rural area are the ones that support the business. So the moment they are moving away from this rural area to urban areas, who is going to support, which means it's affecting the buying power that makes the business to be profitable. That's basically what we are talking about. What makes the business to be profitable? That's basically what we are talking about. So it's no longer viable. Why? Because they do not have customers now. The sphere of influence has shrinked. They do not have customers that can support the business to be profitable. It no longer profitable. That's basically what we are talking about. That's what we are talking about. Are we fine with the closure of business? Are we fine with the closure of business so that we can move to rural depopulation? Are we fine with the closure of business? Thumbs up if you are fine with that. Please don't forget to tap the screen. Don't forget to tap the screen. Sharp. So now when we are talking about the rural depopulation, this is the decrease, okay, in the number of people living, okay, in rural areas. Okay, so we are saying now rural depopulation is the decrease in the number of people living in the rural areas. That's a decrease, which means now as people are moving away from the rural areas to urban areas, there is urban depopulation. Sorry. There is rural depopulation. As people are moving away from the rural, there is what? Rural depopulation. Sorry guys, slip of a tongue. So as people are moving away from the rural areas to the urban areas, there is what we call what? Rural depopulation, which is the decrease in the number of people living in rural areas. So rural to urban migration is a cause of rural depopulation. That's basically what we are talking about. Is a cause. You can also know that obviously death, some people at some point they die, which means if they form part of the rural area population, it can also result in rural depopulation. Death can also reduce the number of people. When people are dying, it also reduces the number. But the main cause, of course, of our rural depopulation is the movement of people from the rural to the urban area. That's what caused the urban depopulation, the decrease in the number of people living in rural areas. That's part of your urban depopulation. Are we fine with point number 5? Rural depopulation. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying urban. rural depopulation, are we fine? So we are saying as people move, okay, part of migration as well from the rural to the urban, which means the population in the rural areas decrease. That's basically what we are talking about. So we are saying another challenge that can also happen is half-empty schools. We are saying now the schools that we have within the rural areas, it no longer has learners or students because some of them, they are moving to urban areas where there are better schools. So we are left with half-empty schools, which means the schools do not have enough learners. That's what we are talking about. That is in rural areas. That is in what? In rural areas. Okay. Are we together, guys? Are we together? Thumbs up if we are fine with the consequences and also the consequences of rural to urban migration. All right. Let's look at what can be done. What can we do to retain people in the rural areas? What can we do now to make sure that we retain people in the rural areas so that they don't migrate to urban areas? That's what we are moving to now. What can we do? All right. We are moving to that now. The strategies to reduce rural to urban migration. What are some of the strategies that we can put in place to reduce the movement of people from the rural to the urban areas? Okay, what can we do? Number one, what can we do? Job creation. Job creation projects. Projects in rural areas. That's what we can do. What else can we do? Decentralization of industries. Lization of industries. What else can we do? Improved basic services in rural areas. What else can we do? Skills development. Skills development in rural areas. In rural areas, skills development in rural areas. What else can we do? Farming related industries in rural areas. Farming related industries in rural areas. What else can we do? Infrastructure development. Infrastructure development. What else can we do? Incentives for professionals. Incentives for professionals. For professionals to settle in rural areas. In rural areas. Please forgive my handwriting. I was supposed to be a doctor. Okay, so I want to explain the points that I've listed. I want to explain the points that I've listed. I know what you have written down is also correct. I want to explain the points that I've listed. So please don't forget to tap the screen, guys. Don't forget to tap the screen. Don't forget to tap the screen. So I want to explain now. Can I start? Okay. So the first one, we are saying, I'll explain, then I'll make sure that you understand. Okay. Number one, we are saying let's create job creation projects in rural areas. Okay, if we create job opportunities in rural areas, remember the people are moving because some of them, they don't have something that can generate an income for them. So the moment we have got more job opportunities in the rural areas, which means they don't find a reason to migrate, that's how we are able to retain people within the rural area. If we have job creation projects in rural areas, which means now people can work, they can get an income, they can afford the basic needs, which can reduce poverty or which can improve their quality and standards of living. So there won't be any reason for them to leave the rural areas. So number one, job creation projects in rural areas. We have to make sure that we have got job creation projects. The moment we have got job creation projects, it means now they are able to get an income. When they get an income, obviously, they cannot migrate from the rural to the urban. Are we fine with number one? Thumbs up if you are fine with number one. Thumbs up if you are fine with number one. Can you give me a thumbs up if you are fine with the first point? Number one, thumbs up. Sharp, 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 sharp. Let's move on. Decentralization of industries. So we are moving on to the second one. Decentralization of industries. So if you look in most cases, you would find, let me just put it this way, that when you compare the urban and the rural, you would find your urban is the core. Then your rural is more like the periphery. This is a theory that you did in grade 11 under development geography. Okay, the core develops at the expense of the rural. You'll find that the urban is more industrialized, which means when you compare the core and the periphery, you would find that more industries are centralized in the urban area. That's why the urban areas are more developed as compared to the rural areas. So we are saying now, let's change. Instead of centralizing, of us only having industry within the urban, let's decentralize them. That's basically what we are talking about. So the decentralization of industries, we are saying now, instead of us having industries only within the urban, let's also make sure we have them within the periphery so that the rural areas can also develop. That's basically what we are talking about. So the most important point is we are now setting up industries in the rural area so that we develop the rural economy. So the moment we do that, it means now it's also going to create employment opportunities. If we decentralize industries, which means now we are able to create employment opportunities. We are able to create income opportunities for the rural population. Hence, they cannot migrate to the urban. We have decentralized the industries. Instead of us having the industries only in urban areas, we are saying let's also have them in the rural areas. That's what decentralization of industries means. We are decentralizing them. We are making sure that we industrialize the rural economy, taking the industries to the periphery, to the rural, to the underdeveloped. That's basically what we are doing. Are we fine with point number two? Are we fine with point number two? Give me a thumbs up. Decentralization of industries. So what decentralization of industries is doing is creating employment opportunities. So hence, the people won't move from the rural to the urban because now our rural economy is industrialized. They can work, they can get an income. There is no reason for them to move to the urban. We are going to retain them within the rural economy. That's basically what we are talking about. Okay, sharp. Let's move on to improved. Number three, improved services, improved basic services. We are saying some of the push factors that is forcing people to move to the urban areas is poor service delivery. So if we make sure that we improve basic services in terms of your education, in terms of water provision, giving them piped water, in terms of giving them electricity, you understand? It means now they've got improved basic services, which is more or less what attracts them to the urban area. So the moment we improve these basic services, it means now we are able to retain people within the rural areas, hence reducing the rural to urban migration. Are we fine with point number three? If we are fine, let's give me a thumbs up. If we are fine with point number 3, improved basic service in rural areas. If you are fine with this one, if you understand, give me a thumbs up. Thank you, Nana. If you are fine, gift, thank you. If you are fine, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs up. Okay, all of you are fine. Then number 4. Okay, skills development. Skills development in rural areas. We are saying now, let's upskill people. We can do maybe something to do with poultry, maybe the skills such as welding, something to do with farming, anything that upskill people. Because obviously I believe, even just in general, in life you are paid for what you know and you pay for what you don't know. So if you improve the skills of these people in the rural areas, it means they are able to offer their skills in exchange for income. So that way now, they won't find any reason to migrate to the urban areas because they are simply offering their skills to get an income. So we can actually engage in skills development in the rural areas. The moment we do that, they are going to come up with their own project to make money as well. That's basically what we are talking about. If someone is taught how to do poultry, obviously they are going to raise those broilers. They are going to come up with projects using the skills that they have acquired. So in that way, they won't migrate from the rural to the urban. That's basically what we are talking about. Don't forget to tap the screen. Don't forget to tap the screen. Are we fine with skill development in rural areas? Are we fine? Are we fine with skills development? Thumbs up if you are fine. Bokang, I usually start at 8. Stay 8. Okay, we are fine. Then the other one is farming related industries in rural areas. Okay, we are saying now, in rural areas, remember we said it's unifunctional, mostly the primary activities. Why don't we add the industries that are into value addition, which means they can process now the products that are being farmed into semi-finished or finished products. That's basically what we are talking about. It results in what we call, sorry about this term that I'm going to talk about, agglomeration of economies. We are saying we have got farmers who are farming tomatoes. We have got farmers who are farming certain products. So if we're able now to introduce the value addition, we are processing those products from where they are being grown. We are saying, let's bring farm-related industries in rural areas so that the farmers within the rural areas have got an existing market. You understand? That way, we are creating employment. We are also building the rural economy, which means the rural economy is supposed to sustain, is now able to sustain itself in terms of improving the livelihoods of the people, in terms of developing itself. That's basically what we are talking about. Are we fine now with farming related industries in rural areas? Number 5. Thumbs up if you are fine. Decentralization, we mean that we are taking the industry to the rural areas. We have a situation whereby they are more centralized. They are only found in the urban. So if we create an environment that is conducive for rural industrialization, that's how we decentralize, which means they are no longer found in urban. They are also found in the rural area. That's how we decentralize. That's what this is all about. Are we fine with number 5? Farming related industries in rural areas. I think we are fine. Are we fine? Let's move on to infrastructure development. Infrastructure development, it helps to make the rural areas accessible, which means now if the area, the rural areas have got well-built infrastructure, the buildings, the roads, which means now it makes it possible now for the areas to be accessible. It are linked to the surrounding urban areas, which means the moment it's more accessible, it also creates an opportunity for more investments. That's basically what we are talking about. It creates opportunities for more investment if the infrastructure is improved, is developed. That's basically what we are talking about. Okay, is this clear? Then the last one, incentive for professionals. We have got professionals like teachers, we have professionals like nurses and doctors. We are saying now, if we give them more incentives to settle in rural areas, it means obviously they are going to improve service delivery, in terms of healthy, the different professionals, if we give them incentives, they can also play a part in improving service provision, which will help to retain people within the rural areas. Are we together, guys? Is it clear? If it's clear, I want to move to the last part, social justice and land reform. I want us now to move to the last part, social justice. Give me a thumbs up so that we can conclude this. I want us to move now to the last part. Thank you. I can see everyone is happy. Social justice. That's what we are doing now. Social justice. All right. When you talk about social justice now, what is it that we are more concerned with when you talk about social justice? So basically what we are saying now, you'll usually have come across the case studies that are given in your examination regarding the social justice issues. So you come across the case study questions. Obviously, you need to have an understanding of the background of South Africa under apartheid laws to be able to understand the reason for social justice. So the things that we are talking about is equity and equality. Equity and equality. Okay, that's what we are more interested in terms of social, economic. You can think in all spheres: economic, political. Okay, it covers all these things. Covers social justice. Okay, economic, political. Okay, in terms of everything. So we are looking in terms of equality and equity. If you think of what happens during apartheid, obviously, did the black have access to the same resources as the white people? Okay. In terms of service provision, we had more access to the services between the black and the white, or people of color in general. So you think along those lines, how was the issue of equality and equity represented? That's basically what we are talking about. Okay, did the people have access to all these resources according to the races, or some races have got access to resources as compared to the other races? That's basically what we are talking about. So social justice, we are talking now about the situation now. There is equity and equality in terms of access to social, economic, and also political resources. That's basically what we are talking about. If we are talking about the homelands, how were the services like within the homelands during the time of the apartheid? Did they have access to everything? That's basically what we are talking about. What is happening now? What started happening after 1994? That's basically what we are talking about. So you need to have an understanding of that historical context so that you can be able to answer the questions under social justice. That's basically what we are talking about. So with social justice, one of the things that comes into play in order to make sure that people have access to resources is land reform. Okay, that's why it is very important. So land reform come into play. Why did it come into play? Because obviously during the time apartheid, okay, before the independence of South Africa, obviously most black people did not have access to land. Why? Because the land was taken away from them. So land reform is coming now to address the issue now. Is coming now to what? To address the issue of access to land. Is coming to address the issue of access to land. How is it addressing the issue of access to land? So we need to know and understand what land reform is. That's what we need to understand. Okay. Okay. This one is trying to redress. Okay. It's trying to redress what? What is it trying to redress? The unequal distribution of land. Distribution of land. That's what it's trying to resolve, of land in South Africa. That's how it is coming as a social justice issue, land reform, to redress or to address the unequal distribution of land in South Africa. Okay, if you compare between the black and the white, of course, who is the minority and who is the majority? The minority, they are owning more in terms of resources as compared to the majority. That's basically what we are talking about. So land reform is coming as a policy now. Okay, a policy is simply a course of action what the government is putting in place, okay, to redress the unequal distribution of land. And how is it doing it now? It's doing this using 3 pillars or laws. That is number 1, we have got what we call land restitution. Land restitution. When we are restituting, we are claiming back. We are claiming back. That's basically, okay, the land to its rightful owners. That's what we are doing. When we are doing land restitution, we are claiming back the land to its rightful owners. That's what we are doing. We are claiming back the land that was unfairly dispossessed from the local citizens. We are claiming it back. That's what we are doing when you talk about land restitution. So our land reform is made up of 3 pillars. That is land restitution. Just to simplify it, we are claiming back the land to its rightful owners. That's land restitution. That's number 1. And at the same note, what are we doing? We are doing what we call land redistribution. Land redistribution. Okay, how are we doing this? Okay, land redistribution. Okay, so the state acquire land. State buys land. Okay, when it buys the land, what is it going to do now? It is going to distribute land to the disadvantaged citizens. So what it does is the state buy land and give it, or just use the same right way, distribute it to disadvantaged citizens. That's what it does. So we are saying number 1, land reform is a policy that is put in place to redress the unequal distribution of land in South Africa. How is it done? It is supported by 3 pillars. That land restitution, which is claiming back and land and giving back to the rightful owners. That's number 1, land restitution. Then land redistribution. State buy land, okay? State buy land, okay? And redistribute it to the disadvantaged citizens. Okay, so what is happening under land redistribution? We are saying now, we have got a willing seller and a willing buyer. Okay, those people that are owning land that we have said is the minority. They are the people that are selling the land, and the state is coming in as a willing buyer. You understand? That's what is happening. So there have been conflicts when it comes now to issues to do with the price at which the land can be bought. Because whereas the willing seller can value the land, let's say at 100 million, the state will be willing maybe to buy it maybe at 50 million. Which means now we have got a conflict between the willing buyer and the willing seller. The price that the willing buyer is prepared to purchase the land from the willing seller, there is no agreement. Why? Because maybe they are preferring to buy it at a lower price as compared to the actual price that the willing seller is willing to sell the land for. So we have got a challenge now when it comes to land, how we can be able to acquire this land when there is a debate or there is a conflict, okay, between the willing buyer and the willing seller, because they do not agree at the price at which the land can be sold and also the land can be bought. So this has been happening in course over and over again through land restitution, through the not agreement in relation to the value of the land at which the price at which it can be sold. So there is a challenge between what you call the willing buyer, the willing seller. We have said that the land is in the hands of the minority, and the willing buyer. what does the government do? The state is acquiring land. When it buys the land, then it can redistribute it to the disadvantaged citizen. How does it acquire land? That's when this willing seller, willing buyer is coming into play. Those ones who are in possession of the land are the willing sellers. Though the government now is buying the land on behalf of the citizen so that it can redistribute, is the willing buyer. So the price at which this land is bought, sometimes there's disagreement. Why am I saying disagreement? Because the price that the willing seller is willing to sell it and the price that the willing buyer is also prepared to buy it, in most cases there is a problem. The problem also with the land restitution, have they been able to claim back all the land? There are cases that are in court that is delaying the whole process of land reform. That's basically what we're talking about. Then lastly, we have got what we call the land tenure. Land tenure. Okay, ask yourself, prior to 1994, most blacks, were they able to have land rights? Were they able to own land? This is only happens after 1994 with the changing of the law. That's basically what we're talking about. So when we talk about the land tenure, it is the law that ensures people who could not own previously can now own the land after 1994. All those people, mostly the people of color who could not own land, now after 1994 they are able to own the land. That's basically what we are talking about. So our land reform is a policy that has been put in place to redress the unequal distribution of land in South Africa. It is hinged by these three pillars. That is your land restitution, land redistribution, and land tenure. Land restitution, we are claiming back the land to its rightful owners. That's what we are doing when we are doing land restitution. Land redistribution, the state is acquiring land. After it has purchased or acquired land, then it can distribute to the disadvantaged citizen. That land redistribution. We have got a challenge at the price at which the land can be sold. Of course, we have got the willing seller and the willing buyer. The willing seller, those who are in possession of the land. The state is coming as the willing buyer, but there's always a challenge when it comes to the price at which the land can be bought. There is a delay in land reform because of the disagreement between the willing seller and the willing buyer about the price at which the land can be purchased or sold. Then we have got the land tenure. Now, people of color, after 1994, they are able to buy land. They are able now to purchase land. The laws that ensure that people who could not own land previously can do so after 1994. So our land reform as a policy is there to redress the unequal distribution of land. But however, there are three pillars that makes up our land reform. We are saying the three laws or acts that speaks to land restitution, land redistribution, and land tenure. Are we fine, guys? Is it clear now? Is it clear now? I think we have done enough, guys. Some of you are writing tomorrow. Unfortunately, we won't be able to go through the past paper. Maybe we can do the past papers tomorrow for rural. We can do the past paper tomorrow. How could you ask this in exam say? Okay, so what we can do, guys, I think we can call it a day now. Not a day as such, you can call it a night. Then tomorrow, I'll just focus on the questions that covers rural settlement. Then on Wednesday, we can do the urban. But the urban now we are going to focus more on the question because some of you will be writing on Wednesday or Thursday. Some of them, okay. So that's what we are going to do. So are we fine with the land reform? Tomorrow let's start at 7. Let's start, tomorrow I think let's start. I think same time 8 o'clock is fine. All right. We are saying now land reform is a policy that has been put in place to redress the unequal distribution of land in South Africa. Remember, it's coming with the issue of social justice. That's basically what we are talking. It's coming with the issue of social injustice. Okay, we are saying now, what can we do to make sure that people have got access to this resource? Land reform is coming as a way to do that. Okay, so land reform is a policy that has been put in place to redress the unequal distribution of land in South Africa. And it's hinged on two acts or pillars. That is our land restitution, which is claiming back the land to its rightful owners. That's land restitution. So land restitution is talking about claiming back the land to its rightful owners. That is your land restitution. That's what it's all about. That's the first one. We are saying land restitution. What is it all about? Claiming back land which was unfairly taken from the citizens. We are claiming back that land. Okay, that's what we are doing. That's land restitution. Let's say, for example, the land that belongs, let's say, to the Khoisan, we are claiming that land back. That's land restitution. Okay, that's land restitution, claiming back the land that was unfairly taken away from the citizens. That's basically what we are doing. That land restitution. We are claiming back, giving land to its rightful owners. We are claiming back that land restitution. Then also, when you talk about land redistribution, we are saying now, state buy land and distribute to the disadvantaged citizen. That redistribution. And how do they buy land? We have got the willing seller and the willing buyer, which means the land that is in the hands of the minority. That's where we have got the willing seller. Then the land that is in the people that are purchasing the land, it is the state. In this instance, becomes the buyer. So we have got a problem where they cannot agree on the price at which the land can be sold. Hence, there is a problem when it comes to the willing seller and the willing buyer. At what price can they agree to buy or purchase the land? Land distribution is about incentives. Zakele, land distribution is about incentives. Can you elaborate on that? Can you elaborate that on that one? Because land redistribution is state-owned land distributed to previously disadvantaged citizens. State-owned land distributed to previously disadvantaged citizens. That's what land redistribution is all about. That's what land redistribution is all about. We are talking about state-owned land distributed to previously disadvantaged citizens. So before they can distribute it, they have to acquire. How do they acquire it? That's why I'm talking about the willing buyer, willing seller. That's how they're able to acquire this land. Also, I talked about land restitution. Okay. Is it clear now? Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear? There is, let me see. All right. Zakele, are we on the same note? Zakele. Let's agree to disagree. We are saying that land redistribution, state-owned land is distributed to previously disadvantaged citizens. State-owned land is distributed to previously disadvantaged citizens. That's what land redistribution is all about. Okay. Oh, I get you, Zakele. I think I didn't read nicely. You are talking about land restitution. Thank you, Zakele. It's fine. You are right. Thank you, Zakele. I did not read nicely. You are talking about land restitution. Of course, claiming back land which was unfairly taken away from citizens. Of course, yeah, you are partly correct. Sorry, Zakele. We are talking about the same thing. Thank you. I read it the other way around. Zakele, all right. They are paying money to previously people and the pillar code land. Yeah, thank you, Zakele. It's fine. We are talking about the same thing. Thank you so much. I've read it as land redistribution. Thank you so much, Zakele. Thank you so much, Zakele. Thank you so much. Someone is saying, what is the purpose of land reform? Thank you, Zakele. It's fine. That's an informed fact there. Someone is saying, what is the purpose of land reform? Zakele, thank you so much. Sorry for the misunderstanding. I've read it the other way around. What is the purpose of land reform? Someone is asking, what is the purpose of land reform? We want to conclude now. What is the purpose of land reform? What is the purpose? We want to conclude. Land reform, we want to address the unequal distribution of land in South Africa. That's basically what it's all about. We want to address the unequal distribution of land. Who is owning the land? The land is in the hands of the minority where the majority do not have. Bokang is the same thing. He was talking about land restitution. Land restitution. Okay, what economic growth? What else? It's also a way to reduce poverty. Land reform is also an alternative or a way to reduce poverty. It's a way to reduce poverty. I think, guys, for today we are done. I think for today we are done, guys. It's late now. It's late now. It's late now. Before you go, let's tap the screen to 20,000. Let's tap the screen to 20,000 before you go. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think for today we are done. So tomorrow we can start maybe with 2 questions that covers, or we can just go through the paper for both Roy and Eben tomorrow, because some of you are writing on Wednesday. So tomorrow I think we are going to just go through a question paper, but I'll also try to give as much information as possible in my explanations. So tomorrow we are going to do settlement geography, but both Roy and Eben. So we'll be using past papers. We'll be using past papers. I think we'll be able to cover everything before you start writing. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Let's just tap the screen to 20K. It's 80 now. Then we can call it a night. Let's start at 7. Let's start at 7. Let's start at 7. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bokang. I really appreciate. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bokang there. Thank you. Let's tap the screen, guys. I want us to get to 20K. Then we can call it a night. Now it's 18.6. Let's start tap the screen. Tomorrow, let's start at 7. Let's start at 7 tomorrow, please. Let's start at 7 so that we can be able to cover both Roy and Eben. Remember, you are writing your paper 2, and some of the provinces going to be question 1, Roy, then question 2, Eben, then Mepwek. So tomorrow we want to make sure that we cover as much as possible. Let's start at 7 tomorrow. Yeah, just 20K, 19.2 now, 20K, then we can say bye. Thank you, S. Thank you so much, guys. 19.4. It's almost, let's get to 20K, then we can say bye. We are almost there. We are almost there. We are almost there. Just tap the screen. Let's tap the screen. 19.7, 19.8, 19.8. Almost there, almost there, almost there. All right, have a blessed evening, guys. Thank you so much. Good night. Thank you so much. Good night. Let's meet tomorrow at 7. Tomorrow at 7. Please, you can go to my YouTube channel. I'm also uploading these lives. You can also check on my bio on the TikTok. There's a group for that you can just join there. You also have access to some of these lives. You can also have access to some of these lives. You can just join the group on the my TikTok bio. You can check where it's written group. Then you click on that. Then you join the group there as well. You can also check my YouTube channel. I will also be uploading these lives on the YouTube channel so that you can have access to it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow at 7. I'll see you tomorrow at 7. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Sihle. Bye-bye.